Here's the Azorious deck for Return to Ravnica. It's got 2 of Trained Caracal. It's a white weenie, a white creature, 1-drop, 1/1. And it's got lifelink for a common creature. That looks pretty handy. Then we have Azorious Arrestor, which is also pretty handy. It's a 2-drop, 2/1, and it's got detain, so you can detain a creature, which means that until your next turn, that creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities cannot be activated. I actually got hit with this one in the pre-release, and for a common weenie, it's pretty effective, in my opinion. Then we've got Concordia Pegasus, which is a 2/1/3, almost a wall, and it reads to me like the usual theme deck filler that gets displaced by better cards. Then we've got 3 of Silver Coat Lion, an M13 common, a 2/2/2. That's not too bad. Then we've got 1 Azorious Justiciar, which I will never pronounce correctly, and it's a 4-drop with double white, which means that you're going to have 2 white cards, 2 white mana cards to play this thing. And when it enters the battlefield, it detains up to 2 target creatures your opponent controls. So it's got double detain. That's very useful. It's an uncommon. But again, it's a 4/2/2. It can be the sort of card that keeps your opponent from making other moves. So that's not too bad. Then you've got 2 of Battle Flight Eagle, a 5-drop. Yet another great card that proves why M13 is grossly underpowered and it doesn't sell any booster packs. It's a 5/2/2. It's got flying, which is great. And you can drop a +2/+2 on a target creature and it gains flying. But I don't know. This is what makes Magic 2013 a set not to remember. Then you've got Bazaar Kravad, which at first glance looks like too heavy, and it's an uncommon. It's a 5/2/5. But whenever it attacks, another target attacking creature gets +0/+2 until end of turn, and you can untap it. I could see that being useful. So, I mean, at first when I used to pull this card, I would think that it was not such a great card. But I guess I'll have to revise my judgment on that after I read it more carefully. Then you've got the 1-drop instant, Swift Justice at common. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike and lifelink. Again, a good limited card, a good card that could see some use in specific instances, but not a card that you probably want to put in every single deck that has white. Show of Valor, a 2-drop instant, target creature gets +2/+4 until end of turn. A very defensive card, yet it could be useful. Angel's Mercy, one of them. I like this card, but it is heavy. It's a 4-drop. But you do gain 7 life and it's an instant. It can take care of, it can help you when you're down, I'm sure. Hence the name Angel's Mercy. Then you've got 2 Arrest, which is an enchantment aura. You can enchant a creature, and that creature cannot attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So it's a variation on Detain, and I think it is also useful. I've actually got a hit with this card online a couple of times. Then a very interesting card, Stealer of Secrets, very similar to Delver of Secrets, except a lot less useful. It's a 3-drop 2/2, and whenever it deals combat damage, you can draw a card. I haven't played it. It reads okay, but obviously it's nothing like Delver of Secrets, of course. Here's Soulsworn Spirit. It's a 4-drop 2/1. It's unblockable. When it enters the battlefield, detain target creature and opponent controls. So it's got detain for a 4-drop at 2/1, and it is unblockable. It's almost the equivalent of trample. Not quite, but it is still unblockable. And then you've got your standard heavy drop, 6 for 3/4 with flash, and it's got flying. Flash is useful. You may cast this spell anytime you could cast an instant. So you can drop this creature after other things have happened in your turn. Still, as a 6 drop, I don't understand why it's an uncommon. Then you've got an action injunction, a sorcery at 2, and it's a detain card, and it's also a cantrip, a so-called cantrip card where you can draw. So you got a 2 for here out of this card. Let me see how my autofocus is doing. Sometimes it conks out. And you've got 2 of Vassal Soul, a hybrid. Love these hybrids because you can play a hybrid white-blue card like this one in a blue deck and you wouldn't notice it. You can play it in a blue deck and you wouldn't notice it either because you have the option of playing either white or blue. It's got flying. It's a 3/2/2. Not terrible and a common. Then now we're down to our multicolored cards, these gold cards, which I think they're really just very pretty. Artwork-wise, this is really what makes a Return to Ravnica really stand out. You've got Newcraft Guildmage. It's a creature, 2-drop, white-blue. For an additional white-blue, a target creature gains flying until end of turn. And for an additional 3 and a white-blue, you can detain target non-land permanent and opponent controls. That can be useful, but it's a very heavy cost for 5. Of course, if you're trying to detain, say, a Thragtusk, that could be really useful. Lief Sky Knight, it's a 3-drop creature with flying. When it enters the battlefield, detain target non-land permanent. So it's the same deal. But notice the difference. In the case of Newcraft Guildmage, you have to pay 5 additional mana. In the case of Lief Sky Knight, you get it for free when it enters the battlefield. Of course, it's a 3/3/1, which means that it's pretty weak. Lief can really get banged up pretty quickly at 3/1, but you got to detain basically for free. Then Archon of the Triumvirate, which is the card that comes in the front of the deck. So it's got flying and it's a 7/4/5. I wish Wizards would place better rares at the top of these decks. I don't think this is a very playable card. Reads really like a junk rare. Okay, so you can detain up to 2 target non-land permanent creatures. No, non-land permanents. Important. It's not just creature. Any permanent. Your opponent controls. So that's good. I think one of the cards that we read previously had that up to 2. This one's got 1. Let me see which one was it that had where you can detain up to 2. Oh yeah, there we go. Azorious Justiciar. So that's a comparison card there. It's got similar abilities, except that in the case of Azorious Justiciar is when it enters the battlefield. In the case of Archon is whenever it attacks. Well, maybe that's not too bad. So I'd have to play this card to know a little more what to say about it. Then you have Dramatic Rescue. It's an instant 2-drop. Return target creature to its owner's hand and you gain 2 life. So it's kind of like a Vapor Snag for an additional drop and you get 2 life. So you get a little bonus on top of what you get just by playing Vapor Snag. Of course, Vapor Snag is no longer in Standard. Righteous Authority. It's an enchantment aura. And when you enchant the creature, it gets +1/+1 for each card in its controller's hand. That could be nice, but if you're doing a 5-drop, that's going to be later in the game. The odds of you having many cards in your hand are not that great. Yet again, if you're playing blue, you could be having a bunch of cantrips that you drop, and then the bigger you get your hand to be, then the better this enchantment will be. At the beginning of the draw step of Enchanted Creature's controller, that player draws an additional card. So here you go. This card has something nice. This looks like a really playable card. Then you've got 2 Azorious key runes, which of course can add either white or blue mana, and when you do a double on it, it becomes a 2/2 white and blue bird artifact creature with flying until end of turn. Then you get your 1 Azorious Guildgate. Messed up the autofocus there. There you go. That's better. And then you get 1 Tablet of the Guilds, an uncommon. When it enters the battlefield, you choose 2 colors. Obviously, in this case, you know which ones to pick. When you cast a spell, if it's at least one of the chosen colors, you get 1 life for each of the chosen colors it is. So if you play a white-red, you're only going to get the white if you name white-blue. But if you name white-blue and it is white-blue, you get a 2 for it.